Well, you're actually working with True Bare Knuckle League right now.
Yes.
And this is sort of a newer thing in the fighting world. It's banned in most states, but there are some states, especially down south, that allow this. Because I remember Jorge Masvidal, he has his own Bare Knuckle League as well that he's been working with. Do you expect this to become as big as a UFC or boxing at some point, or do you think it's just too violent?
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna answer this with some history in combat sports. I'm gonna go back to the original days of boxing, back in the 1800s, when they were fighting and it was bare knuckle. They didn't have gloves and they were out there banging on one another. And even then, it was called pugilism, and it was barbaric, right? And eventually, they decided they were going to put a glove on to make it safer, which is ridiculous because it's not. And they start banging on one, and then it evolves into something, right? So
let me stop you for one second. Are you saying that wearing gloves is not safer than bare knuckle?
Long term, it is not.
How so?
And so, understanding how the skull works, you have a skull, you have fluid, and you have a brain. Okay? If I was to hang an actual solid bowling ball that was hollowed out, and I put an egg on the inside of that with water, right? And then that egg represents your brain. And I was to take some gloves and put them on my hand, and I was to pound that bowling ball with that water inside of there. After about probably 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 punches, that egg is going to continue to keep bouncing, right? That's your brain on the inside of the walls, but it hasn't broke yet. But eventually, after the 12th or 15th or 20th time, that egg breaks, and my hands are completely undamaged. I take those gloves off. I take the tape off. That same bowling ball with water in it, and I say, hit it.
I see where you're going with this.
You ain't going to damage the brain
as much bare knuckle
I'm saying
as you would with gloves.
The power you use with gloves on causes more brain damage because of the power that you use without damaging your hand. You take the glove off, you take the wraps off, you can't hit that bowling ball hard enough for that brain to bounce off in there. But if you hit it on the chin, it doesn't have to be powerful, you're still going to go down. But you haven't damaged that brain. You haven't bounced it off inside of there. So if I was to hit you 100 times with gloves on, even a pillow,
okay,
I hit you 200 times. And then I take that down and I take everything off, and then I hit you 10 times, bare knuckle. Which one is more damaging to your brain long term?
What's the difference between the gloves that they use in UFC versus bare knuckle? Because you use tape in bare knuckle.
No, I don't. That's why ours is called True Bare Knuckle, because there is no tape at all.
Nothing at all?
Zero.
Okay.
That's why it's called True. We're the only True Bare Knuckle.
Aha. So you're saying that Jorge Masvidal's league uses tape?
Tape. Yes, theirs is bare knuckle, but it's not bare knuckle.
Okay.
Because it's bare knuckle, but they're taping their hands. Like, to me, it's because we are talking safety here, right? When you put a 4-ounce glove on someone and you tape underneath there, you put that 4-ounce glove, what is wrong with us? Like, you're going to tell me that's safer than bare knuckle? Like, you're out of your mind. Like, you're protecting my hand so I can do more damage to your face and your head. And so for me, the logic of that as a fighter, and they're selling this thing saying we're going to make it safer because we're going to put a 4-ounce glove on guys now. It's like, you're lying to yourself, because that is not safer. That is allowing someone to punch you in the head a lot more times without damaging your hand, and which in return is more brain damage.
So you're saying that people get hurt less in bare knuckle fights?
No, I didn't say that. I say brain damage.
Long term.
Long-term brain damage. That's why you see boxers all the time that can't speak. They have long careers because of that. When you're talking about damage, yes, bare knuckle causes more damage on the surface than it does internally. So you're getting more cuts, more blood, more broken bones. But the brain damage is less.
You have sons?
I have 3 boys and 4 girls.
Did any of your boys go into martial arts?
Yeah, 2 of my boys actually fought MMA, and they were undefeated as amateurs.
Aha.
Yeah.
What happened after that?
Got married.
Didn't want to fight anymore.
They both got married. Yeah.
And the wives put their foot down.
No, it's like I made them make a decision, and I sat the wives down and them, and I said, "Here's what's going to happen." So she's going to have to work, and she's going to have to pay the bills, and she's going to be the main breadwinner, and you have to train. And if that's what you want to do, this is the scenario, because I'm training you. It's not. It can't work any other way. And they chose to not do that.
Are you happy with that?
Absolutely. I was hoping that's what they.
So you didn't want your kids to fight?
I wanted them to if they wanted to,
Okay.
but it's a commitment that may not work out. I know that. And no matter how good you are, just like with my oldest boy who went to England and was fighting the number 5 ranked fighter in the world, knocked him down twice, was winning the fight, and then broke his hand. And then after he broke his hand, we took the glove off and couldn't put it back on. It was like that bad. So we stopped the fight. 6 months later, his hand heals up. We get him back in there. A year later, we get him a fight, and he breaks his hand again in training. It's like, he was good, but injuries happen, and it causes you, a lot of great athletes, not to really fulfill their dream.
Your injuries you sustained from years of UFC and WWE, how serious are they these days?
Yeah, they don't affect me. I mean, obviously I feel them. I mean, it's just crazy not to, but I broke my neck. I mean, 2 different times. I broke it when I was 17 years old in high school. Told I'd never play contact sports again. I healed. I did not believe that, wasn't going to accept that, because everything I became was because of sports. I became relevant because of sports. And so I knew nothing else. And so I put all my dedication and my heart into recovering and getting to a position to where I can live life how I wanted to live it, and was able to do it. And then I did it again back in 2016, I believe it was. Wasn't complete broke, but it was, fractured, and I had to go in and get brackets put in, and went through 7 brackets. And
From a fight?
yeah, well, training
Over
and over again, and just something was wrong, and I went and got it checked, and it was a fracture.
I mean, when you wake up in the morning, do you feel, I'm fine, I'm maybe a little sore here and there, or do you feel like I'm going to have to take some Tylenol to get through the day, and, some days are worse than others, and I have to take more pills, or
Nope.
are you naturally okay?
Yeah, not naturally okay. I did stem cells. I went over.
We talked about this.
Me, I meditated and did that, and it was a life-changing experience for me.
In Colombia, right?
Oh my goodness, yes, it was.
Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
me and, because I have a torn meniscus. We talked about this before the
Yes.
cameras turned on. But yeah, I remember I talked to Jorge, because he kept mentioning the stem cells in Colombia. So I called him and said, hey, listen, I have a torn meniscus. So he hooked me up with his guys in Colombia. I haven't really pulled the trigger because the pain has kind of subsided, and I feel like,
Why
go through all this
Yeah.
if I'm not really in pain? So for you, you're saying the stem cells actually changed everything.
It was night and day for me. And again, I don't want people to think like what's going to work for them, because I've known people that I've told them, man, this was night and day for me. And they went over there and they really didn't see they didn't feel anything. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of makeup or how it works for some people and not others. But for me, it was unbelievable. It was life-changing for me.
Where do they inject the stem cells?
Well, for me, because I had shoulders and neck, wrists, knees, lower back.
The whole body.
It was all of it. And they injected me everywhere. In fact, I remember
You're the mommy makeover, basically.
I couldn't get dressed the next day. Like, I was so sore from all the injection spots that they had put me through, and they told me you were going to be very, very sore, that it took me an hour to get dressed. I had to lay down, and I had to slowly slip my pants because I couldn't move. I mean, I was sore. And it was like that probably for 4 months. Not like you couldn't move or anything, but 4 months it took all the soreness to kind of really subside. But it's one of those things where you don't, unless you start memorizing what bothered you, like the inflammation type things, and notice those things before you go in and get it done, what hurts, you can almost forget it's working because it's gradually making those things dissipate.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I talked to Grant Cardone, who's a billionaire real estate guy,
Yep.
and he said he went to the same clinic in Colombia and had it done also. And if I asked him, did it work? He goes, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
It hit me back in a couple months.
But see, here's the thing: when someone says that, it's got to be working. Because if he's saying, I don't know if it's working, that means like, okay, so you're not complaining.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying by it's sometimes it's gradually getting there, but you don't know it.
Well, last question. We just lost a WWE champion, Sid Vicious, a.k.a. Psycho Sid, from cancer, age 63. How well did you know him?
I didn't know him well. I mean, I've met him a few times and seemed like a good dude. Never heard too many bad things about him. Of course, everybody's got something to say, especially at being a celebrity. But
yeah,
I met him a few times. Good to me. People that I know that knew him, they spoke highly of him. So it seemed like a really, really nice guy.
Yeah, man, cancer. It's one of those things.
Unforgiving, man.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter who you are, and
Yeah.
good, bad, or whatever. It doesn't care.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Sad to hear. Sad to hear. He was definitely loved. I saw a lot of mention of him all over the internet and people really, sending out their condolences and everything.
Big dude. I mean, intimidated looking, but kind.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is. Ken Shamrock, always a pleasure. When you come in, world's most dangerous man.
Yeah.
I can say, I survived a face-to-face interview with him.
Every time someone says that, I feel so inadequate. World's most dangerous man. I don't know.
Well, and what do you have coming up next? I mean, you got the Bare Knuckle League. What else you got coming up?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now is focusing on the bare knuckle. Today we just built our new website, which is True Bare Knuckle, which is true is TRU bareknuckle.com. TrueBareKnuckle.com. And we just put that up today. So we're excited. We're getting ready to do a show, I think, in December. We'll wait and see. Like I said, a lot of commissions and a lot of things have to be approved ahead of time, which we're working on. If that does happen, then we'll do one in December. If not, we'll probably do one in January for sure.
Right, because where is bare knuckle legal?
Yeah, well, we're based out of Florida.
Wyoming, Mississippi,
And Florida.
Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah, but it's just like the old days. It reminds me of the old UFC days.
Yeah,
where
UFC used to be illegal everywhere also.
Everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like the same thing, whereas that if there's a following and there's an opportunity for states to make money and be able to offer jobs through different events, they're going to bring it in, they're going to accept it. And this is where it's going. It's like that early days of the UFC where it'll slowly roll out and everybody will accept it because the commission have already sanctioned the rules.
Hey, man, let me know your next fight. I'll fly out.
Absolutely.
I'll check it out. I want to see this in person.
You're going to love it, too, because
Yeah.
we don't have cages or ropes. And when you sit ringside, it's like being in there. There's nothing keeping you from
Blood
visually.
sprays on you and everything.
Yeah, right?
What, do they give you like a plastic tarp?
Yeah, we'll
like in
give you
front?
the shields, right?
Like a Gallagher show, right? With the watermelons.
Yeah, listen, a lot more blood, but less brain damage. Which one do you want?
There we have it. Ken, man, always a pleasure. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, brother.
Peace.